Well, again, more breaking news. This day just keeps getting busier and busier. Josh Sweat,
Yep.
another big
Not a
drop day.
surprise. Not a surprise. There you go. I mean, we were just talking about the Arizona Cardinals a couple of minutes ago. A lot of money in free agency. They need pass rush help. Jonathan Gannon obviously coached the Eagles defense a couple years back. And here we go, Josh. Here you got onto the screen. Josh Sweat. How about $19.1 million a year? It is a expected contract, but when you see the numbers there over 4 years, about $76 million, it's a massive, massive deal to the Eagles edge rusher.
Yes, and he deserves it. I'll be honest, because I did tweet this a day or two ago. They all run together, but I was thinking that he was going to be over 20, just because of kind of some recent pay, and then edge rushers before you start seeing some of the contracts earlier this season, and then also the salary cap. You know, again, increasing, continuing to. So I thought it would be like, hey, he's going to get 20 million. He's going to get more than that. But still really good. 19.1. It's kind of hilarious though too, because Jonathan Gannon, the reunion there, of course, but Milton Williams was briefly the Cardinals were trying to make a push, so you could tell Jonathan Gannon's like, hey, you know what? I get Milton Williams here, I get Josh Sweat here, get both of them. Not able to get both, but he does get Josh Sweat, so good for him. Got a bag, headed out to the desert, and based on early speculation, which we won't know for a while officially, but based on early speculation, that means that the Milton Williams compensatory pick is likely a third-round pick. And then Josh Sweat with this deal would likely be a fourth-round pick in 2026. And also Isaiah Rodgers, assuming the Eagles don't sign someone and lose it, but that would be a sixth round. So,
Right.
people say, hey, the Eagles are not being very active. That's true. We haven't done too much, but they're still getting something back. I mean, at least you're talking about like, hey, well, now after this last couple signings, you have a third-round pick next year, a fourth-round pick next year, and a sixth-round pick next year added to what they already had. But we already knew, we figured Josh Sweat changing agents, Drew Rosenhaus, he was going to try to get something there, ultimately get a deal done. And, more power to him. Kudos. He did it the right way. You look at the Hassan Reddick situation. I mean, if I had told you 2 years ago that Josh Sweat's going to make $5 million more per year than Hassan Reddick, would you believe that? That's kind of a strange how things work out, but good for him.
Well, let's be real here. Josh Sweat earned this money by his play in Super Bowl 59. I mean, it's not like Josh Sweat was a 15-sack-year guy this past season. I mean, he has only been a double-digit sack person one time throughout his entire Eagles career. And I've been saying all the last month that my guess was Philadelphia would look at Sweat, and unless he wanted to take a very team-friendly deal, say, he's been average, and that's basically it. He had a great postseason run. Credit to him. Big reason we won the Super Bowl, but we can find somebody better. Maybe that's in the draft. Maybe that's here in free agency, although unlikely. But most likely it's already on the Eagles roster. And Jalix Hunt, who also had a very impressive overall Super Bowl 59 performance as a rookie. So I just think that we have to understand how free agency works. We've been saying it now 4 times today. The Eagles losing now 5 players, right? A lot of people overpaying free agency. Teams that have a lot of cap space are going to overpay in free agency. And Josh Sweat, I think along with Milton Williams, feels like someone who benefited playing alongside Jalen Carter, never experiencing double teams. And now, like Milton Williams, goes to the desert, unlike New England, and is going to be a lot more the guy. And at $19 million a year, Josh, you got to get 10+ sacks every season. And that's not been his MO. It wasn't his MO this past regular season. So it's a loss. If the Eagles could have gotten him for $15 million a year, I'd be singing his praises. But 19.1 for 4 years, it's a lot of money. And I think Howie and especially Vic Fangio said, I like Jalix Hunt, and we can find somebody early on in the NFL draft.
Yeah, if there was more, if you had, I guess a couple things. If you had the cash, like you're saying, but also if you had guys or didn't have guys waiting in the wings to say, okay, who do we try to play more, get more snaps out of this? Then you could try to talk yourself into it of being like, okay, you either needed to make a move or this is a bigger loss. But for people, if people are out there, I see, I guess, couple comments, and I understand of the concern, the sadness or whatever, but it's not that big of a loss because I think we trust Vic Fangio, and Nolan Smith is already there on one side, but then look at Jalix Hunt. He's got a lot more playing time. This is an opportunity for him to get a lot. I mean, who knows if he's necessarily the starter, but he could very, very easily win that out. But also you have opportunities to go within the draft, as we've been talking about, free agency. So I'm not up in arms about it. It's not a huge concerning blow. This is another one of those that we did anticipate with the Milton Williams. So if the market itself, again, Thomas, like you said, had been a $15 million, sure, then you go ahead and make that payment. But when all is said and done, we'll figure this out and see if it was worth it. As of right now, my knee-jerk reaction would be that's a slight overpay, but it's still expected. Like we thought that it would be about in that range, but it's still a slight overpay for what a Josh Sweat or the production on that side. So let's see. There's actually a couple super chats. I'll hit real quick here. Dylan with a 5. Appreciate that. That's a weird way to a second tower has been hit vibes. I'm glad they're getting paid though. Donovan Izraku, you were an Eagle. Thank you guys for all you do.
Don't know if that's the metaphor I would have chosen.
No,
Josh. I don't know if that's the best one, but sure.
I understand it. People being like some people, upset about it, like not concerned. There's a lot of other analogies maybe we could go with there. It does, but yes, I mean draft talk. Like there's plenty at 32. We've talked about this. We won't get into it here, granular detail. But you got a long time to go. Get through free agency. We'll start covering the top 30 visits. Who the Eagles are going to bring in. They're always active with pass rushers. That's a Howie guarantee. So you're going to see top 30 visits across the board, all sorts of ranges. You'll see some in the late first round, second round, third round, mid range. So they'll surely draft one or even a couple of those guys to try to fill the void. But between that and Vic Fangio, I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. But if you go back and say like, when you're drafting a dude from Houston Christian that's played sparingly as an edge rusher, and then I told you, but he's going to have to play significant snaps in the Super Bowl, no one's going to immediately, when you go out there and say like, oh, that is your recipe for success. But Fangio saw that in him, was able to obviously improve significantly over the season as well. And Jalen Hunt played phenomenal, not only in the Super Bowl, but really the playoff run and beyond. But it's the part that Vic Fangio and the Eagles see in that side, the scouting, the development. Clint Hurt deserves a ton of praise as well. Jeremiah Washburn, so those guys getting them ready. But again, good on Josh Sweat. He earned it. You got guys waiting in the wings. You got other options as well. So we will see. No one with a 5. Appreciate that. Hey guys, hope y'all are doing well. What would you think if Asante Samuel signed with us? We'll go into the corner conversation. But we had all these.
We keep hearing that,
but could be a prove it deal since he was hurt last year. Was his point?
Maybe unlikely though, because he's still a very impressive and young cornerback. That's kind of the key factor there. So prove it deal. What is that? $13 million a year, $10 million a year. The Eagles aren't willing to pay $8 million a year, right? That seems to be kind of the line there. Obviously, with Isaiah Rodgers, so it'd have to be $5 million, $6 million. We keep saying it. They like Keely Ringo. They like Moro Jomo. They love Jalen Hunt. I mean, they've had contingency plans. Credit to Howie Roseman in the NFL draft for finding these guys, for Vic Fangio for developing them. They've had contingency plans for this exact sort of situation. And that's why I'm not panicked. I think all of these moves were expected. Everything that I had been told was that they were losing all of these guys. There was some rumblings that they would try to get a Josh Sweat or a Milton Williams, but the second you hear $26 and $19.1 million a year, respectively, for both of those guys, the birds were quickly out. I mean, it's not even that hard to imagine Howie going, appreciate the ring. See you guys. Have fun in New England and, Arizona, 2 teams we don't think are going to do anything real special the next couple of years, but they got their bag and credit to them.
Yes, and also because kind of taking that point a little bit further as well, it's like we most of the time, who Howie is very much going to be signing or very interested in bringing back, because usually they don't make it to free agency. Zach Bond didn't. It was top priority. He could have. Certainly teams, interested in paying a Zach Bond deal, which if you think, it's kind of ironic and funny to think, with Nick Bolton getting a 3-year 45 and Zach Bond's a 3-year 51. So, I mean, just goes to show Zach Bond, what they thought of in the building, but he earned the contract. Fantastic there. But usually they're going to get it done early. If they get to free agency, Howie's incredible about obviously the thinking ahead, saying, hey, here's a bunch of different outs. But usually it gets to the similar point of go see what you're worth. If you would give us the opportunity. And I know that people go, well, yeah, but isn't that what Joe Shane said to Saquon? Sure. The wording is probably a little bit different. The way that it was phrased to player, I feel like is a little bit different there. But ultimately, it's, hey, we've reached the point. We're going to be honest with you. We're not going to offer something beforehand, or at least match your want or desire. So go test the market, and we'll figure out if we can make ends meet. Most of the time, it doesn't seem to happen. Every once in a while, Eagles will bring someone back, even once they get to free agency. And so we'll see. Is Mekhi Becton that guy? I mean, it's one of the last ones remaining of the bigger pieces that we've been talking about.
Big 4, yeah.
Oren Burks. You need another linebacker against or with Zach Bond, so that would be a good signing. And there's several other guys that you could bring back as well. But ultimately, there's one of those left. So far, still has not been any earth shakers, I don't think, from what we were anticipating, what we've either been told or the rumors, the reports that have come out, and Howie's been prepared for this. So the sky is not falling. Howie vision and Howie we trust, all those things still apply. I know that I've seen a lot of those comments and a few people being like, man, I know that I trusted him, but it's hard for me to get on board with this move. I get it. Like, hey, you know what? Sweaty, fantastic celebration. Drafted here. The underdog story. I mean, fit the bill.
Yeah.
Showed up in the Super Bowl. Could have very easily won a Super Bowl MVP for that type of performance. He was right there at that level. But you know what? Kind of already felt this was going to happen. Good for him to move on. And similarly, we wish him the best, unless it's playing against the Eagles. So Tech Monk with a 5. Not that I want to see him go, but what teams do you think have heard, or what teams do you think / have heard rumors might be interested in Kenny Gainwell?
Haven't heard any. There's been no reports on who might be talking to Kenny Gainwell. And Gainwell is one of these free agents that, I mean, there are many free agents, obviously, like Kenny Gainwell. Oren Burks, another example of a non-starter level yet player. I think Burks can be. That has to wait their turn and wait to see where the cards fall. And then maybe even after the NFL draft, you find your official home. Although most of these guys like to get their deals done before the end of March. But no news on where Gainwell might end up. I think coming back to Philadelphia could very much be in the cards at the right price. But as we've seen, it's a spending spree right now. And if you're noticing one theme, Josh, a lot of bad football teams are spending money today. Not a lot of good football teams are making a lot of moves. It's a lot of bad football teams.
They get a lot of that cap space,
maybe
for
a lesson
reason.
To learn.
So
yeah.
they're just some of the moves make sense, but there's been a few of them that are like, man, that guy is getting an insane amount of money. But everybody's been there, whether in hypothetical speaking or actually in real life. You have a lot of cash in your pocket. You just kind of burning a hole in your pocket. You got to spend it somewhere. So some good deals, some maybe not as much. It was funny. There's a comment earlier I was seeing. Let's see, where was that one? Oh, Jarky B saying this feels like it's going to be 2018 all over again. Is anyone else getting that feeling?
No. It feels different. It feels very different.
Very
you did
much
not
so.
have an established young stars going into the 2018 season, right? You didn't have a Jalen Carter, you didn't have a Quinyon Mitchell, you didn't have a Cooper DeJean, you didn't have a Nolan Smith or a Jalen Son. We have so many young players. I just named like 6 people we're extremely excited about, some of which are going to be, Pro Bowlers this coming year, or at least viable starters. Feels very, 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 very different.
Yeah, there's a couple different comments on this. I'm actually very surprised because to reiterate, as Dawson would say, yeah, how he literally said, be patient. And, people are, which, I know, I get it. And let's see, got to be, said, yeah, 3 departures to 0 arrivals. But this is what we expected to have. And you know what, if you need to kind of doctor that, because it's 3 departures to 0 arrivals, but it's really not. If you want to do it just for today, okay, fine. But what was Zach Bond? There's definitely one with a Zach Bond situation. You also can go look at the extensions. I know that, hey, Saquon was already here, but they lock him up for really long term and freeing up some cap space. So there's room to make some moves. They're potentially considering a Dallas Goedert. Howie is busy. It's not like it's, oh man, we're just getting poached and we don't have anybody. We mentioned this earlier. Heck, you have 17 or 18 guys of the 22 that'll be starters that will be returning for next season. So come on now. Let's be a little more optimism on day one of free agent tampering.
I will say this, though. We just got a guard move that's not Mekhi Becton, but Green Bay is signing former 49er guard Aaron Banks to a 4-year, $77 million contract. So that resets the guard market. So Becton just got a lot more expensive. Let that be known.
That's actually very surprising because the other deals up to that point had been kind of lower, where it was making you think, okay, you're going to have an opportunity.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah, we'll see.
That one is wild. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing that one now too. So interesting. We'll keep an eye. We'll hopefully, it's sooner rather than later. But as we've said too, there's been reports. I think the Inquirer was one. And I'm trying to remember who the other one. There was 2 reports that were basically saying the interest, obviously, from Mekhi Becton wanting to be in Philly, but that it could take some time. So naturally, he's going to see where the deals. There's been several deals that have gotten done internally with teams re-signing their own players. Hopefully that changes things a little bit of sense. Say, okay, there's not as many options available, or at least the teams don't appreciate the guards available. Sydney family with a 3. Appreciate that. Howie may draft a D lineman and get a free agent edge. He might.
Maybe. Yeah.
Plenty of time.
I mean, we gotta see where all the dust settles. That's just kind of how it works.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do we have... Is Grady Jarrett official to the Bears?
Yes, to the Bears. It is official. Yep. Bears having a nice,
there we go.
Nice trenches building off season. I got a Bears fan texting me right now. He's very excited. Very excited. 3 new offensive linemen and Grady Jarrett to go with Montez Sweat. It's not a bad trench warfare brewing there in Chicago.
Sure. Good for them. You know, they needed a little help. Protect your franchise QB, assuming you believe in him there, but, you know, a little bit. Interesting. Okay, I was refreshing to see. I thought that there was another, but no, it's just a regurgitation. It's always great because you get like the first report from, you know, name your guy, Adam Schefter, whatever. You get the first one, and then you start getting breaking, because they all either verify with the same source or another person that can confirm. I'm like, oh, that's a new deal, but it's actually not. Okay. We'll see. At some point, though. Mekhi Becton. We should be getting that one. And yes, in the comment section, I'm also seeing as well. It's a back and forth. We got some people that are concerned it's going to be 2018, and some people that are totally adamant about running it back. And we got this thing in the bag. We got the guys. So, you know, it's free agency. It's how it normally.
It's how it works.
Seems to play out. You gotta love it. You know, some people love this time of year. Some people hate it. I think it's always interesting to see the team building and how the guys are going to play out. But you have the majority of the core, as you said, Thomas. To me, I'm with you. It does not feel like 2018. There's so many more reasons to buy into this squad and say that they're going to be able to run this. The leadership, you got the right mentality, you got the dog mentality. I don't think that just because they won that Super Bowl, if anything, their comments have been they're hungry or they're starving for it, basically, because it's like, man, I want to get back to that feeling and how quickly it wore off. So, yeah, I think that we're going to be all right. Franklin, this team was so much deeper and younger than 2017, 2018. There's, also that element. The guys are kind of only getting better. So we'll be fine. Josh Sweat, again, just for people joining a little bit later, officially going to the Arizona Cardinals. Be over there with JG, Jonathan Gannon. Get the pew, pew, pew tips, I suppose. But
that's right.
You know. We'll see. Brandon, would I want DeMar Hamlin? Probably not.
Nope.
Nothing personal.
Where's he going to play? Where's he going to play?
Yeah. Give me someone else who can help impact more immediate. No. Wojak needs edge, defensive tackle, cornerback, tight end, O-lineman, linebacker, and maybe safety too, so a lot. So there's we're going to have a 2018 all over again, maybe? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you need depth at those positions. I don't know if you need a offensive lineman or a linebacker. I think they feel pretty good about Tyler Steen. They feel really good about, obviously, Zach Bond, and they are expecting either Jeremiah Trotter Jr. or Nakobe Dean to step into that spot. And I don't think they need a safety at all. They're very good at safety right now.
Yeah, I mean, I get the point. We could play this game of like, there's so many different, but how many teams do you go across the board? Oh yeah, they've got all these, not even a single need. Because if those are all needs, and I agree, edge, sure, you could definitely need one of those, or you'd need one of those because of the moves here. But that was a foregone conclusion. We were already expecting that. Defensive tackle, yeah. But you were to get that draft or free agency, we know, because Howie values defensive line in general.
Yeah.
Cornerback, okay, it's a question, but you still are developing your talent. Like, that's the other element. Tight end, we say we need one, but do we? Like, that's also, if Dallas Goedert is staying, they'll run it back. Now, the next year, sure, but offensive line, like you said, Thomas, Tyler Steen, they believe a lot in him. If Mekhi Becton goes, I think they'll be like, you know what? That tells you all you need to know. Steen's going to be the guy. He'll be good. You trust in Jeff Stoutland. It's anyone and everyone could probably run through 7 different positions, say we need backups there. So I don't know. It's in terms of like guys that are either starter reps or very close to starter type reps, like 2 of those positions.
I agree.
Maybe 3, depending on who the Eagles feel like is starter ready. But I don't think it's as extreme. We gotta chill on the freaking out, maybe a little bit. Daniel with the 2. Za'Darius Smith, I guess just throwing it out there as a possibility.
Possibly. Yep. Definitely a possibility. When the dust settles after today, he'd be a day 2, day 3 signing, I would think. Maybe tomorrow or Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll start getting those once teams, officially take guys off the market, reassess what the cap situation is, go back to the Eagles. So-and-so met with the commander, these others. And not that those aren't completely happening, but it's more so the on-the-fence type of players. So I'm sure we'll get some of those meetings and everything else in the next couple of days. We're going to be fine. I just
got to wait and see. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Else. Yes, Ryan Sweat is most likely a 4th as far as the compensatory picks. So if you want to be pessimistic, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Sure. You could do that.
Sure.
We try to be optimistic all season long. Certainly in the playoffs, people are saying the sky's falling. Jalen can't play quarterback. The Eagles are never going to win with him. And look what happened. So that's all I'm saying. Just chill, just relax. We'll be all right. Josh Sweat headed out, but you get a 4th-round compensatory. See what Jalix Hunt could do. I mean, that dude's a baller, so you give him an extra year with Vic Fangio. Christian with the 5. Right before I think we're going to wrap it here as we were waiting to see if we were getting any other official news. But appreciate that. Got to sign. See, here's another one. Got to sign Asante Samuel Jr. to cover up the loss of Isaiah Rodgers.
Everybody wants Asante Samuel Jr. That's for sure. That's for sure. Everybody likes Asante Samuel Jr. in the chat right now, which is fine. I think he's more expensive than people realize.
The biggest question, and shout out to Anthony DeBono, who was saying this earlier whenever we were talking about him, but I think one of the biggest questions for Asante Samuel Jr., outside of, compensation's always the fact, but outside of that, if you're looking at him scheme fit, is he's a little bit undersized, and is he the type of corner that Vic Fangio values? He's got game for sure. Yeah. No one's going to knock that, I don't think, but is he the type of corner with the physicality that Fangio typically looks for from his corner play? Because he missed some tackles. Now, I know he's injured, so you can make the case maybe that was having a factor with it as well. But that would be the main part for me, just schematically, fit-wise, could he be the guy that might turn them off of it? But I'm sure, as Howie said, he's looking into every option, so it's not like it's off the table. We'll just see as more of those deals come on. Chad... Yep. This might be a good one here to wrap on, but Chad, we totally agree. With 2, says, in Howie we trust, nothing to freak out about.
Yep, I agree. That's the one to wrap up on, because we totally agree. The Eagles are going to lose all these players today, and they're still the favorites in the NFC as of 3:47 p.m. Eastern time on the East Coast right now. So yes. I feel fine.
They're going to be all right. There's no need to panic. There's more of those. I know. Chad's not the only one. I see those other comments, but there's still a decent amount that my gosh, we're losing all these people. We can't seem to keep our team together. And it's the big news. Hey, if for non-Eagles fans or other friends, I'm getting texts like crazy from people saying oh my gosh, y'all are losing everyone. Because those are the big name guys. You see a report or something on SportsCenter or NFL Network or whatever. It's the Eagles just lost so-and-so. Relax. The real Eagles fans, there's a lot more that the Eagles have retained and taken care of than what they're losing. Not that it won't be affected, but Howie's mastermind at building the roster, so I think we're going to be all right.
I agree.
All right. We appreciate you guys. Again, as always, no need to panic. Take a deep breath. Relax. We're all good. More news. Hopefully, Mekhi Becton soon, so we'll keep posted on that. But any other breaking news, we'll jump on it live again. Maybe we'll see you guys again today. Other videos and everything else coming out soon as well. Make sure the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. And Poppy, we see the super chat. No comment, but appreciate the support there. And as always, go Birds.
Go Birds.